In North Korea, there is a number attached to you the day you are born, and it will decide almost everything about your life. What you eat, where you live, who you may marry, and you can never ever change it. It is called Songbun, a secret loyalty score that ranks every single citizen by how faithful their family has been to the ruling dynasty, going back 3 generations. It is, quite literally, a ledger of human worth. But this is not really a story about one dictatorship. It is a story about a ladder in the one country on Earth that claims to have no ladder at all. A classless state that built the most detailed class system in human history. Because in North Korea, the official wage is almost meaningless, and the real economy runs in the shadows. Every rung of this ladder is measured twice, once in loyalty and once in cold, illegal cash. Today, we climb it, rung by rung. The hostile class, the ordinary citizen, the soldier, the official, the Pyongyang elite. And then we open the books on who truly holds the money in the world's most secretive state. This is Rank and Ledger. In today's episode, North Korea, rank by rank. What loyalty is worth, what money can secretly buy, and how a country with no official classes hides the strictest ladder on Earth. We start at the very bottom, with the people whose only crime was being born to the wrong grandparents. One thing before we climb. If you want to see who really gets paid in worlds like this, dictatorships, empires, armies, subscribe now and leave a like. It genuinely decides whether this channel survives. Songbun sorts every North Korean into 3 broad classes: the core, the wavering, and the hostile. And the hostile class, perhaps 1 in 10 citizens, sits at the very bottom, marked for life by what their ancestors did. Who is hostile? The descendants of landlords, of merchants, of Christians, of anyone who fled south, or who once opposed the founding leader. A great-grandfather's choice, 70 years ago, still decides a child's future today. The system is astonishingly detailed. Beyond the 3 broad classes, citizens are sorted into around 50 subcategories, each a line in a file held by the security services. Your songbun is investigated, recorded, and quietly consulted at every turning point of your life. For them, the ladder is bolted shut. They are sent to the harshest regions, given the hardest jobs in the mines and the fields, and passed over for everything. According to defectors, a hostile family can never rise, no matter how hard they work or how loyal they act. Songbun even reaches into love. A good family will investigate a suitor's classification before a marriage, because to marry into a hostile family is to drag your own children down the ladder forever. The state has turned the loyalty score into a thing you marry or refuse, and everyone is watched by everyone. Neighborhood units, the inminban, keep track of who visits, who owns what, who says what. In this world, your neighbor's report can raise or ruin your family's standing. Surveillance is not just the secret police, it is the woman next door. And the cruelest ledger line came during the Great Famine of the 1990s. When the state food system collapsed, rations were handed out by loyalty first. Defectors report that Songbun helped decide who was fed, and in the hungry provinces, who quietly starved. And the punishment can reach across generations at once. Human rights groups describe a principle of guilt by association, where the relatives of a serious offender can be swept up together. The ledger does not just score a person. Sometimes it scores an entire bloodline. Here's your first question and answer it in the comments below. Imagine being punished your whole life for something a grandparent did before you were born. Could any system be called just if your fate is sealed at birth? Tell me below. 1 rung up sits the vast majority. The ordinary North Korean. Neither trusted nor condemned. And this is where the strangest part of the whole economy begins. An ordinary worker is assigned a state job at a factory or farm and paid an official state wage. That wage is often just a few thousand North Korean, 1 a month. At real market exchange rates, that can be worth well under a single US dollar. Read that again. A month of state labor for less than the price of a cup of coffee. The official wage is not really a wage at all. It is a fiction that everyone, including the state, quietly agrees to ignore. So people simply stopped showing up. Many workers now pay a monthly fee to their state workplace, a bribe to be marked present, and spend their real days trading in the market instead. They buy the right to abandon the job the state assigned them. So, how does anyone survive? The answer is the Jangmadang, the market. After the famine, ordinary people started trading anything they could: food, clothes, smuggled goods from China, and slowly built a whole underground economy the state never planned. Today, most North Koreans make their real living not from the state, but from the market. A woman selling rice cakes or Chinese shampoo can earn many times her husband's official salary. In the country that banned private trade is now what keeps people alive, and people stopped trusting the one entirely. In 2009, the state suddenly revalued the currency and wiped out savings overnight. After that, ordinary North Koreans began holding their wealth in US dollars and Chinese yuan instead. In the anti-capitalist state, the enemy's money became the safest money. But every market trader survives on bribes. To keep a stall, to move goods, to avoid arrest, you pay off the local officials. The ordinary citizen earns in the market and hands a slice straight to the men with the power to ruin them. There is even money that arrives from outside. Defectors who escaped to South Korea quietly send cash back to the families they left behind, smuggled through brokers across the Chinese border. For some households, a relative who fled is now the most reliable income they have. Now, we step into uniform. To the soldier, in an army of over 1 million men, who is told he is the sword of the nation and is often left to feed himself. North Korea has one of the largest armies on earth, and military service can last around 10 years. A conscript is paid almost nothing, a token sum, and depends on the state for food that does not always come. For much of the year, ordinary soldiers do not train for war. They build roads, work farms, and labor on state projects. And defectors describe soldiers so hungry they quietly took food from the very farmers they were meant to protect. Service is not only for men. Women now serve years in uniform too. And for families with means, there is another quiet market. A well-placed bribe can shorten a posting, secure a softer assignment, or keep a son closer to home. Even the army has its price list. For a young man from a low Songbun family, though, the army can still be a rare ladder upward. Serve loyally, join the party, and you might climb out of the class you were born into. It is one of the few ropes down to the bottom of the pit. The whole state is built around that army. The official doctrine puts the military first, before food, before comfort, before almost everything. A vast share of the nation's wealth flows into weapons and soldiers, while the provinces are told that sacrifice is loyalty and hunger is patriotism. Now we climb above the ordinary world entirely, to the people who do not obey the rules, but enforce them. The officials, the party official, the police officer, the border guard, the bureaucrat who stamps the permits. On paper, their state salary is as small as anyone's. In reality, their signature is worth a fortune. Because in a country where almost everything is technically illegal, the man who can look the other way is rich. A travel permit, a market license, an ignored smuggling run. Everything has a price, and the official collects it, quietly, endlessly. The official's true income is not his wage, it is the bribes. And so the whole system runs on a strange bargain. The state pays its enforcers almost nothing, and in return, lets them squeeze the people they rule. Corruption is not a bug in this ladder. It is the wage. And above the local officials sits the party itself. Membership in the Korean Workers' Party is the true dividing line between those who administer the system and those who merely endure it. The card in your pocket can matter more than the cash in your hand, because it decides whether you get to collect the cash at all. And the bribes do not stop at the local man. He must pay his own superior to keep his post, who pays the man above him all the way up. The whole pyramid is held together by cash flowing quietly upward, each rung skimming the one below. Corruption here is not a leak. It is the plumbing. Here is your second question for the comments. In North Korea, the honest worker starves and the corrupt official prospers. Does absolute power always turn honesty into a punishment? Tell me below. Now we reach the top of the visible ladder, the Pyongyang elite, the loyal core class, who live in a different country without ever leaving their own. To live in the capital, Pyongyang, is itself a privilege reserved for the loyal. The core class, perhaps a quarter of the population, holds the good jobs, the party membership, and the addresses that matter. For the elite, there are things the rest of the country only hears rumors of. Modern apartments, imported food, smartphones on the state network, restaurants, taxis, even water parks and ski resorts built for the loyal few. The gap is staggering. In the same nation where a rural family measures wealth in bags of rice, a Pyongyang official's child carries a smartphone and drinks imported coffee. Two countries, one border, decided almost entirely by Songbun and connections, and the elite must earn their comfort with devotion. Grand loyalty spectacles, mass performances, and constant displays of gratitude to the dynasty are the price of a Pyongyang life. In this world, worship is a kind of rent, and it is never fully paid off. And yet even the elite are never truly safe. In North Korea, loyalty must be performed constantly, and a single misstep, a careless word, a fallen patron can send a high family tumbling all the way down the ladder overnight. Near the top, the air is comfortable, but it is also very thin. But even the loyal Pyongyang elite are not the ones who truly hold the money. To find them, we have to look at the very top, and add a new kind of rich person the old system never expected. Because at the summit of North Korea sit two kinds of power: the dynasty that owns the state, and the money masters who quietly bought their way past the rules. At the very top is the ruling family and the tiny circle around it. They control the state's income, mining, arms, trade, and the special companies that earn hard foreign currency. While the country goes hungry, the leadership is documented buying imported luxury goods, fine cars, and every comfort sanctions are supposed to block. How does a sanctioned state pay for all this? Through a secretive apparatus built to earn hard foreign currency for the leadership. Analysts have long described a special bureau, sometimes called Office 39, tasked with raising cash abroad through trade, labor sent overseas, and darker means, all flowing to the very top. While a rural family counts grains of rice, this hidden treasury is estimated to move enormous sums to keep the leadership loyal and comfortable. The palace economy and the village economy share a border, a flag, and almost nothing else. Some of that hard currency is earned by North Koreans sent abroad to work in construction, logging, and factories in other countries. They labor long hours for wages that are largely taken by the state before they ever see them. Even a citizen's work overseas is, in the end, income for the men at the top. But the most surprising rich people in North Korea are not born to the core class at all. They are the donju, the masters of money, mambao traders and financiers who grew rich in the markets and now bankroll much of the real economy. The donju fund apartment towers, run private bus and taxi lines, import goods, and lend money at high interest in a state with no legal banks for ordinary people. The regime tolerates them because it needs their cash. A communist state now quietly runs on private financiers it pretends do not exist. And the donju rarely work alone. The smartest of them partner with the very officials meant to police them, sharing profits in exchange for protection. Private money and state power fuse into a single quiet partnership. People call them red capitalists, getting rich together at the top of a system that says neither should exist. The donju do something remarkable. With enough cash, they bribe their way past Songbun itself. They buy better housing, buy their children into better schools, buy officials, buy the freedoms the loyalty ledger was built to deny them. In North Korea, money has quietly begun to outrank blood. So, the great irony of the world's last hardline state is this: it abolished the old classes of landlords and merchants and replaced them with a loyalty ladder. And now, quietly, a merchant class has risen again to buy its way up that very ladder. So, here is the final ledger of North Korea. The hostile class is punished for the sins of grandfathers. The ordinary citizen earns nothing from the state and everything from the market. The soldier serves 10 years on an empty stomach. The official grows rich on bribes. The Pyongyang elite live in another country. The dynasty at the top holds the nation's wealth, and the money masters quietly buy their way past every rule. Loyalty was supposed to be everything. In the end, cash is buying it out. In the state that promised to end all class, class became a number stamped on your birth, and then money quietly learned to erase it for those who could pay. Even here at the closed edge of the world, the ledger and the truth were never the same thing. So here is your last question, and it is the one that matters most. If even the world's most controlling state can't stop money from buying its way to the top, is any system on Earth truly ruled by fairness and not by cash? Tell me below. I read every comment. If this story held you, do the two things that keep this channel climbing. Leave a like and subscribe to Rank and Ledger, because next time we open the books on a whole new world and a whole new ladder.